Hello, sippers. I'm Demetrius.
I'm Renee.
And I'm Martia.
And this is Sipping on Wine, a true crime podcast. Hey, ladies.
Woo, woo.
Hey, ladies. Hey, sippers.
Hey, sippers out there. How you guys doing?
Okay. I hope they're good because, they're tuning in to us.
That's right. Hey,
It's
guys.
True Crime Tuesday, our favorite day of the week.
That's right.
Woo. See, I sound better now. I can do my whoop whoop.
There you go. You got your voice back.
Right. So, sippers, although we are a true crime podcast, we also discuss many other topics that might interest you. So please make sure to keep listening after our case discussion because we have a few other segments you don't want to miss. So let's jump into our favorite thing of the week, which is our drink. This one was a suggested drink by a family member. So I am sharing it. Okay. This one is called Honey Whiskey Sour. It is made with Jack Daniel's Tennessee honey, and we will list all ingredients on our social media pages. Please drink responsibly and tag us if you try it.
Okay, for responsible drinking. That's right.
Okay, drink responsibly. So before we begin speaking on this week's true crime, we want to acknowledge the people that these crimes have left a lasting impact on. We also want to send our heartfelt sympathy to not only the survivors, but also the loved ones and friends of all victims we are about to discuss in today's episode. So, as always, I like to drop a disclaimer. Some of the material in today's episode might be unsuitable for most listeners. Discretion is fully advised. So, ladies, before we dive in today's episode, I want to drop some facts that I found regarding my case about domestic violence in the United States for 2022.
Okay, I'd like to hear that.
Did you know that intimate partner violence accounts for 15% of all violent crimes annually in the United States?
I actually thought it would be higher.
I would have thought it would be higher too.
Really? Me too. That's a pretty good number though.
I mean, I guess that's the people who are actually telling.
Right, and reporting it.
Yeah.
And more than 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men have experienced either physical violence, the R word, because I was told that won't get played much. So we're going to say the R word, or stalking by an intimate partner in their lifetime. Victims are commonly abused by those who are closest to them. So we do know that, right, from our true crime episode.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. So sad.
It is. And each day in the United States, over 20,000 calls are placed to domestic violence hotlines by individuals reporting incidents. So on average, 20 people per minute are physically abused by an intimate partner. This is an astounding number that shows how prevalent it is in our society. And also, a weapon is used in 19% of domestic violence incidents. And women who are victims of intimate partner violence are most likely to be between the ages of 18 to 24. Did y'all know that?
That's so sad too about that part.
It is. It's very, very young.
Yeah.
Very young. So with that being said, ladies, this case is going to take us to Waukesha, Wisconsin. This is the true crime case of Shannon Mani. Have either of you heard of her name, Shannon Mani?
I haven't.
No, I haven't either.
Because, I was like trying to dive in. I was like, let me find something they ain't heard. So here we go. Let's dive in.
Okay.
Shannon Mani was born on April 6, 1997, to both VJ and Anshu Mani. She was just a toddler when her parents immigrated from Fiji to the United States in Waukesha, Wisconsin. Growing up, Shannon was not only noticed for her beauty and smarts, but the way she lit up any room with her charming personality. Everywhere that Shannon went, no one was ever a stranger in her presence. She always made those around her feel important. Her mother stated that they met people through Shannon, and those that met her fell in love with her. After graduating high school in 2015, Shannon would go on to attend the University of Wisconsin in Milwaukee. She began taking courses to become a social worker because helping others was her passion. While attending school, Shannon worked part-time at an organic food manufacturing company alongside her father, who had been employed with them for 22 years. In the spring of 2017, while at work, Shannon met 26-year-old Quentin Neal. He was coming in there to apply for a job, but after introducing himself to Shannon, he managed to leave with her number. The pair instantly connected because of their shared interest of wanting to help others. Shannon explained how she wants to open a women and children's shelter in her community, and Quentin told her that he wanted to do the same for his own community. After a year of dating, the pair adopted a shelter dog and named it Akimo. Isn't that cute? I know we talking about true crime, but I
That
thought that
is
name was
cute. A
cute.
chemo.
That's
Never
something
heard that
different.
before. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it is cute.
Yes. Although their new addition had health issues, Shannon wanted to show the dog it was loved and had a family. On April 13th, 2018, after Shannon failed to pick up her brother that afternoon and was a no-show for work, her parents became increasingly worried about their daughter's whereabouts because she was always reliable and kept the same routine daily. There were repeated attempts to contact Shannon via text messages, but they got no response. They also contacted her boyfriend, Quentin, who said he didn't know where Shannon was at and he hasn't heard from her all day. The Mannies grew increasingly worried and contacted the Waukesha Police Department shortly before midnight to report their daughter missing. Although her parents reported Shannon as a missing person, her age played a big factor in the search not being pushed as urgent because police wouldn't view a 21-year-old not as a missing person, but as a potential runaway. That is until her mother brought up the fact that Shannon is not only missing, but 4 months pregnant. This added information made police take the missing persons report seriously. They began questioning her parents, asking where would she go and who does she know. The parents bring up Shannon's boyfriend, Quentin Neal. Prior to going to the police station, the Mannies asked him if he would meet them at the station, but he gave little to no interest of going until detectives called him in, asking him to come down to the station. Once Quentin arrived, detectives questioned when was the last time he seen or spoke to Shannon. He tells them he hasn't seen her in the last 24 hours and that the last time they spoke, she was leaving school to go pick up her little brother. Proving his alibi, Quentin showed them the text messages on his phone between him and Shannon. But before his interview was over, Quentin drops a bombshell. He mentions that there might be another person of interest. He tells the investigators about an old friend from college, stating this guy really liked Shannon and he was almost obsessed with her. Quentin also said he was very disrespectful about their relationship, sharing that this guy tries to talk to Shannon every chance he gets, but she always rejected his advances. According to Quentin, this friend also had no problem telling Shannon how much he loves her. Detectives immediately labeled him as a person of interest, and the statement Quentin gave them made it a possible motive, leading them to file the case as a missing persons report. Meanwhile, after putting out a search for Shannon's car, the vehicle was soon found by the Milwaukee police, approximately 20 minutes from her home. Detectives conducted a thorough search of the car, but they found no evidence that anything has happened and no signs of a struggle inside the vehicle. There was no purse, no keys, no blood, or anything visible indicating a struggle. But after dusting the vehicle, they found 3 sets of fingerprints. That afternoon, the college friend who Quentin mentioned was brought in for questioning. He told detectives that he had heard about Shannon's disappearance. He was concerned and wanted to know if she was okay. He even tried calling her all day. When asked about their relationship, he told them that they were just friends. Shannon had made him feel like he belonged since he was attending school on a baseball scholarship, and she welcomed him into her circle of friends with open arms. They pushed with questions, asking if he had any romantic feelings towards Shannon. And after being pressured to answer, he tells detectives he told her how he felt about her, but it didn't go any further. They tell him that his fingerprints were found inside the vehicle. He told him that Shannon took him to school every day, so his prints would be inside the car. He also told him that on the day of her murder, he was 100 miles away at a game. After checking his alibi, they were able to clear him as a possible suspect Soon, detectives would get an unexpected lead in the case. Miss Manny brought something in to assist in the investigation. She had gained access into her daughter's Apple Watch and showed detectives all of the text messages between both Quentin and Shannon on the day of her disappearance. As investigators dug deeper into the text messages, they could see that weeks prior, something had occurred between Shannon and Quentin prior to her disappearance. Quentin had become very violent with Shannon, and allegedly in her text message, Shannon said to Quentin, "You pushed me and got in my face and screamed at me and held my hands down. How could you do that?" His response was, "I know, baby. I am sorry for that. I should have never done it. Just please don't leave me. It won't happen again. I swear. I need you, Shannon." And she replied, "We just need a break." How many times have we heard stories of abuse and the girl want to leave and he go, "No, don't leave me."
Yeah.
So sad.
Textbook. Yeah, it is sad.
Right. And it's sad that her mom had to read that and then give it over to the detectives. I was like, wow. So, well, let me add this little bit of information that I found out about Quentin. He has a lengthy, violent criminal history. He was on parole for armed robbery with the use of force. He was arrested for battery, disorderly conduct, and armed robbery. So he already got like a little rap sheet going. She had a little bad boy and she should have let that one go, y'all.
Right.
So, with that being said, while speaking with the detectives, Miss Manning stated that Quentin was emotionally unstable when it came to the baby, saying that he wants the baby and will take care of Shannon. But days later, he would text her, asking her to convince Shannon to get rid of the baby. And he doesn't want anything to do with her or the baby. Her mother also shared with detectives how Quentin was hitting on Shannon because one day she noticed a bruise on her daughter. Shannon told her Quentin had hit her and she was done. Despite the verbal and physical abuse in the relationship, their relationship continued because Shannon chose to see the good in Quentin. Since hearing this new information, detectives pushed forward with Quentin Neal as their primary suspect and decided to investigate his home. But they knew since so much time had passed, they probably wouldn't find Shannon Mani alive. After obtaining a warrant to search the home, when CSI arrived at the house, the inside looked spotless and clean. They didn't notice anything wrong and nothing was out of place. So they decided to use a chemical called luminol. It is a liquid used to test for the presence of blood. The liquid is applied to an area and a black light is used to visibly see if any blood is present. Y'all ever heard of that? The luminol? Have you
Yeah.
seen the
It's from them
Yes.
CSI?
shows, from the TV
Mhm.
shows. It
Right.
lights up. Yeah.
Right. So if there is any traces of blood on any object, it will illuminate under the lights. The investigators searched all throughout the upper part of the house and found nothing. But once they began their search in the basement, and everything lit up like the 4th of July, there were traces of blood everywhere.
Oh my
With that
gosh.
amount of blood found in the basement, detectives stated no one could survive the injuries
Oh
caused by
wow.
that.
That's a lot then. Goodness.
Right.
Mm.
So after the investigation and CSI findings, detectives quickly called Quentin back in for questioning. They show him the text messages found on Shannon's Apple Watch. They also show him what they found inside the basement. Finally, he decides to tell the detectives exactly what happened. He explained that him and Shannon got into an argument because her parents don't want him in their life. As the argument intensified, Shannon went into the kitchen, grabs a knife and a gun. She points the gun and tries to shoot, but the safety was on, so it didn't go off. Quentin said they struggled over the gun and it led him to shooting her in the head, in which she fell down the steps into the basement. He claims that when he went down to check on her, she was still trying to attack him with the knife, and he felt threatened for his life. So he took the knife and stabbed her multiple times. He said he was forced to do it in order to save his own life. It was
It really is
self-defense.
sickening when these guys come up with these stories and
Right,
the victim is not here to give their side. And
Right.
right.
it's just it's just so like you expect us to really believe that. Like I don't know
He
nothing
said
about
it
this
was
girl,
in
but
self-defense.
yeah,
I
right.
don't see anything
That's terrible.
of
It's just
self-defense.
sick.
Right. So realizing Shannon was dead, he stuffed Shannon's body into a suitcase and hid it away. Detectives wanting to know where Shannon's body was located, Quentin agrees to show them, leading detectives to a storage unit. Once the suitcase was opened, they encountered a horrific scene. The victim's body was bound and gagged in duct tape. Her head was covered with a bag. Her eyes were covered with tape. She had been shot in the head and had been stabbed with multiple sharp objects. The victim was also pregnant, and the baby did not survive. 2 days after Shannon Mani had gone missing, her life was taken away from the very person who claimed to love her and their unborn baby. That is so sad, y'all.
It is. Are you about to cry?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know. I hear
Kind of
it.
emotional
No.
because
Yeah,
when I was doing this, I was
terrible.
like, oh God, this is
Yeah,
horrible.
That's
it
so
is.
sad.
Right. So detectives called Shannon's parents into the station to help identify the body, and her mother in tears could only see blood initially, but investigators told her to focus on just the tattoo. The tattoo was located on Shannon's forearm, and it read, "All living things have a right to live." That was her tattoo, y'all. And this man took her life. It said, "All living things have a right to live." With all the
Wow.
evidence, right? With all the evidence collected from the text messages on the watch and all the blood found in the basement of Quentin Neal's home and the body stored inside the storage unit in a suitcase, investigators believe they have enough evidence to push forward with the case. But here is what they believe actually happened that day. Shannon went to see Quentin because he asked her to come over so they could talk. They got into a heated argument about the pregnancy. The fight spilled over to the basement. Quentin pulls out the gun, shoots Shannon multiple times, and stabbing her several times to ensure she was dead. He then bound her wrists and ankles with tape and placed her into a suitcase and left her in a storage unit with hopes of the body never being found. This man had no remorse. So on April 17th, 2018, Quentin Neal was charged with first-degree intentional homicide and first-degree intentional homicide of an unborn child and one count of a firearm by a felon. It seemed like he need more charges.
He needs something.
Maybe
Yeah.
maybe the first is good, but
Mm,
it seemed like he needed more charges because you was already a felon.
yeah.
So listen to this part, ladies. Quentin's case never makes it to trial. But as the court proceedings were happening, a letter was sent to the attorneys stating that Quentin was not responsible for Shannon's death. It was done by someone else. This letter helped set his case back 3 months, but detectives were on it. They were able to trace who wrote the letter. It was written by one of Quentin's friends to help get Quentin off.
Of
But
course
the
it
judge
was.
wasn't having it. He threw it out, stating that it had no bearing on the case. Y'all, the friend was being manipulative too.
How you
That's
tried it.
crazy, man. You got friends that are just like you. That's sick.
Right. Actually, you did that to that lady, or being accused of that, and you have a friend that says, wants to get him off. Like,
Right,
no,
writing a
we're not
letter.
friends no more.
Right.
Mm-mm.
I think he need to be locked up too because you was
Mhm.
trying to what do they call that? Interference?
Yeah, something.
Or yeah, you was trying to interfere with the case. You need to go to jail too. He needs some time. On July 15th, 2019, Quentin Neal cuts a deal with prosecutors in order to avoid the death penalty. He pleads guilty for both counts of first-degree murder and is sentenced to a life in prison without the possibility of parole. After his sentencing, Neal remained silent, never answering why he committed the crime. So, in researching, I read that Shannon's parents want to prevent future tragedies like this one. According to an article I found on CBS58.com from a July 19, 2019 article, Miss Mani says, and I quote, "We couldn't save her, but there's many other Shannons that can be helped. And if I'm able to help one Shannon in my lifetime, it will be a blessing, end quote. So Shannon dreamed of opening a shelter for the women and children in her community. Her parents say they plan to keep that dream alive and open one in her memory and also in their unborn grandson's memory. Before I close out today's case, ladies, I want to leave a national domestic violence hotline number to call. That number is 800-799-7233, and the website is thehotline.org. Please note that if you or someone you know is going through any domestic abuse or violence, you matter and your future matter. And all sources used are available online. I also recommend watching the TV series Fatal Attraction. So I'll list that too, I guess, on our social media, what episode and what season, because I cannot recall offhand. But that will conclude the case of Shannon Mani. Ladies, you got any comments about Shannon Mani's case?
I'm just glad that you gave out that information at the end of the hotline to call in the website, just in case if
Oh,
somebody needs some help and they're out there
right.
listening to this.
Thehotline.org, y'all. Thehotline.org.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of the statistics that you provided earlier with the age of like the rate of
Right.
domestic
18 to
violence.
yes.
But what I did realize, because you made me think about this and realize that when I do research and I come across those domestic violence cases, I thought about like, yeah, it actually is pretty young people in those stories that I've been coming
Right.
across. So that was interesting to hear those statistics.
Thank you.
Such a sad story. I'm glad you covered it though, to shed some light on that.
Yeah.
And I just want to share with the sippers, I did get a little emotional researching and also reading this. So discard the voice, but I did have a friend that passed
There's
away
nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
from domestic violence. It is a
crazy.
real thing.
Mm.
You know, manipulation and I think mind control of that partner, be it male or female, you know, they can manipulate you into staying, but I advise you to just try to find help, seek help,
or get
and
out.
just move forward, get out. And with that being said, we're going to close this case. All right, ladies, we're going to move into our next segment, which we call Random Wind Down, where we select random current events or things of our interest to have an open discussion and give our opinions. Okay, ladies, so let's talk about it. This one comes from people.com. A 10-year-old Wisconsin boy will be charged as an adult after allegedly killing his mother when she wouldn't allow him to buy an expensive virtual reality headset from Amazon, according to a criminal complaint obtained by people.com. So on November 21st, Kiana Mann, age 44, was shot in the eye at close range at her Milwaukee home. Allegedly, her son, who has not been publicly named due to his age, according to the complaint, it alleges that after the shooting, the boy first tried hiding the gun, and then he told his older sister their mother was dead, and the sister called 911. The child allegedly used Mann's keys to remove the gun from her locked gun safe at about 7 a.m. on November 21st. He allegedly told detectives he had taken the gun out because he was angry at his mom that she had woke him up 30 minutes early, and because he was upset she would not allow him to buy the headset from Amazon. On the day after the killing, he logged into his deceased mother's Amazon account to buy the Oculus virtual reality headset anyway. Y'all, he went online and still bought the headset after his mother's death.
Yeah.
So, yes, this is deep. After the shooting, the child initially told police he shot his mom accidentally. He was allowed to stay home with his family at that point. However, the next day, relatives called the police with concerns about whether the 10-year-old was telling the truth. According to the complaint, he allegedly later told his aunt he had actually been aiming the gun at his mother. Family members told detectives that the child experiences rage issues. Martia, are you familiar with that, being that, you know,
What part of it? The case itself?
therapy? Well, the rage issues. Do y'all discuss that in your therapy?
Yes, and typically something like that is going to fall up under one of the personality disorders, like borderline personality disorder, multiple personality disorder, but it can fall under a lot of different things. But yes, we have. Yeah,
Okay.
this is one of those cases. I had a lot to say about it. I've got a lot of feelings, but the bottom line is it is just so sad. I mean, it's just sad.
So listen to this. At 4 years old, the boy allegedly held his puppy by the tail and whirled him around until the dog whined and howled in pain. He also allegedly started a fire in the home by filling a balloon with flammable liquid and set it aflame. So the complaint states. And also a family member told investigators the little boy has 5 different imaginary people that talk to him. These imaginary people are described as 2 sisters, an old lady, and 2 men. The boy recently received a concerning diagnosis from a therapist, leading the mother to place cameras around the home, the complaint says, according to the documents from a therapist. Unfortunately, someone unplugged the cameras before the shooting. Right before the shooting, who unplugged it? It ain't but one person that could have did that.
Right. They talking about somebody. We know who did that.
Allegedly. He's always said that he hears voices for the grandmother of the child. She told the Daily Beast, we tried helping her with him, but all of us and everybody that knows her, even the church people, attempted to help. We all tried helping her with him because we knew he had a mental illness. So that is so sad. They have a GoFundMe for the mom also. And the 10-year-old is being charged with first-degree reckless homicide and is being held on a $50,000 bail. If convicted of the charges, he could face up to 60 years in prison. That's a lot of time. I thought that was a little excessive.
I have a question though on this. So you said he bought the that game the day after.
Oculus.
So the mother was dead in the house for a whole day, and
it don't seem like the whole day. They just said the next day he went.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like the next day, but she was still there, I guess, when he bought it. And
they didn't say where her body was at that point. They just said after the shooting the next day.
The way I understood it was that he killed his mother, went and ordered the system, and but he ordered that game the same day, according to the article I read, and then the next day, you know how Amazon have it delivered the next day. Then whenever people were coming over and stuff like that, he went and asked his sister, I'm sorry that I killed mom, but did my game come yet? So but you know how when stories break like this, there's so many different versions of what happened. The truth is in there somewhere. But like you said, Renee, I don't know how long her body was there, because the article that I read made it seem like everything was just like they didn't even know he did it at first. So I don't know what's true and what isn't.
And then another thing that I seen on that case was I read it before I even seen the picture of the mom or anything. But when I read it, and I was like, oh, it's a horrible story. And then I hear that he's 10 years old. Then they're trying him as an adult. So when I heard that, I was like, oh, that's probably a black boy, who did that. That's just, and then I seen the mother was black, and I was like, oh,
because those other kids, their diagnosis is going to come out with the story. They're going to say, oh, he killed 50 people, but he was schizophrenic. They're going to already have that set up to where, so I get exactly what you're saying, Renee. They're going to already have it set up.
And I'm just like, as an adult, he's 10. I know what he did was horrible, but he's 10.
They want to give him 60 years. Now, I don't know if that's something.
That's not going to do anything. He needs other stuff going on. He needs other kind of, counseling and all that, but put him in jail as an adult.
My thing that stunned me was that he has 5 people that he hear voices.
I think he definitely should be institutionalized.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not giving a professional opinion. This is just my personal opinion.
Right.
This is straight out of undergrad books. This is not even graduate books. When you see a child that sets fires and they get pleasure out of that, or when they're torturing animals and there's pleasure out of that, that is a red flag.
Right.
And so, but if you don't realize that, you may think your child's going to grow out of it or whatever. And you guys can do a little bit of research if you ever want to. But they say those are the people in our community that end up being the ones that terrorize others, whether it's rapists, killers, serial killers, or whatever. Exactly. That is that. Exactly. So in my opinion, I don't want to say the system failed them, because I can't tell you what system I would be referencing, but it was just like, okay, I didn't understand, why was he not already under an extreme amount of treatment as it is? Right. But I know everybody you can't obtain treatment, right? Some people just can't, they don't have access to certain treatment, but he would have needed a high level of treatment. And I was just kind of wondering, what kind of treatment was he getting, if any at all?
Because the therapist said concerning diagnosis. They have that in quotation. The boy recently received concerning diagnosis from a therapist.
Yeah, so they didn't release it. And I guess it is private. It's not public record, but I was just kind of this story just was just like, wow. I mean, we've heard stories like this before, of course, but it was just, I guess for me, it's like, man, I just wonder what was going on before this
and he
went
had
down.
Diagnosed and all this, and he's done all this that he done in the past, and he's only 10. You know what I'm saying?
10.
Like, wow.
And I'm wondering,
when did it start?
Exactly. Right. But not only that, but some people think when you have a certain diagnosis that takes away from your intelligence level, but no, some of these people are highly intelligent, right?
Right.
But how did he get access to the gun is the one question I've had that I haven't heard anyone address.
Well, said he got the key,
the lock
right?
from he got the mother's key and went to the gun.
Okay. So I didn't hear that. And you may have just said it, but I missed that part. So there was a key that he got. So he was able to turn off the security system, the cameras, get the key to the gun. He knew how to shoot the gun. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's terrible.
It says that he used the keys to remove the gun from her locked gun safe at 7 a.m. because she woke him up earlier than usual, 30 minutes earlier than what he normally gets up. So he was upset about that.
I've seen documentaries of, like these troubled kids, and I just feel so bad for the parents because what do you do? It was this, I can't remember what it was. It was this little, I think it was a little girl, and she was terrorizing her parents. And it was just like where the parents were scared to sleep because they thought that she was going to come in and, slit their throats. And she was just like a 10, 12-year-old little girl.
That's terrible.
And it's just like, what do? You can't just give them up. Well, you can kind of, I guess. But I'm saying, if you want to get help for your kids and stuff, but you're living with them, but you're asking for people to help you. But what do you do? Like being in a house with a crazy kid. Well, I wouldn't say crazy, but with a touched kid who you're scared to close your eyes around. Because they might, kill you while you're sleeping.
Because imagine that lady was like, what, 45, 46 years old? So you have this last child of yours in your mid-30s who ends up taking your life 10 years later. That is beyond I can't even comprehend that. And like you said, Renee, sometimes the signs are there. In this case, we know the signs were there. But I guess as a parent, do you just not want to give up on your child in some of these cases?
If he was diagnosed, but say if he was diagnosed, that means that she was seeking help for him. Like she took him places to get help. So I don't think it was something.
But I'm waiting on them to say, what was he diagnosed at? Because everybody keeps speculating on what it could have been or whatever. But I want to know.
But do you think they would disclose that, being that he's so young?
Legally, they can't. So unless it became evidence in his case, they legally can't say what.
I wonder if they will hold like a trial. Maybe not, huh? Since he's so young.
I wonder how far it will go though, since they are trying him as an adult, like charged as an adult. Maybe hopefully that will change when more stuff comes out.
I don't know. And then him hearing voices, that might change the whole dynamic.
They're going to definitely subpoena his records because with all of that being said, him hearing voices and there's a diagnosis, they probably already have put in the subpoena because what they're going to be looking at is, like Renee was saying, do we put this kid in jail or do we put him in an institution for the rest of his life? Certain levels of psychiatric care say that there is no recovery from that. Like you're not going to ever be able to function in society. So I definitely don't agree with him being in like general pop at 10 years old.
Yeah.
But based on just the outside looking in, mental institution, probably for life. I just don't know what would that be like if he was to get out.
Yeah.
How would he function?
Sort of a supervised kind of stuff, maybe after he's 18, perhaps.
Now check this out. I didn't get to this part, but it said that Kiana Mann, the mother, worked in a behavioral health.
Oh, wow.
So, I did hear that. You're right. I forgot about that, but I did hear it.
Do you think she was like, well, I'll take care of him. He'll get better under my care. Maybe that's
she could have been.
Because they said family members, try helping her with him. The grandmother and other people, even the church.
And I wonder, where is his father?
Oh,
I just wonder, like, what did anyone have mental illness on either side of the family, but where's his dad? Just because I want to know, where's his father? Sad.
Yeah. Ooh. Well, this was a heavy hitter for me, guys. So being so young, I mean, to have that much boldness to go get the key to unlock the gun safe and shoot your mom. That sounds like a lot of rage.
Mm-hmm. And
So
that you was
this was
planning it where you turned the cameras
right.
off beforehand.
This one was a little deep.
It was. Mm.
Okay, sippers, we're going to end this random wind down and move into what we call Spill the Wine. Y'all ready, ladies?
Okay.
The Spill the Wine is a segment where you, our sippers, send us an email or DM asking our opinion about a situation you need some advice on. The three of us will give our separate viewpoints and share our opinions about how you should resolve your issue. All the Spill the Wine submissions are anonymous and we will never share your identity. With that being said, ladies, you ready to jump into our Spill the Wine for today?
I am
I
so
think
ready.
so. Yeah.
I
I'm
think
get
y'all
many,
are
so
gonna.
that's why I'm just like, ooh, let me hear it.
So, okay, this one says, hello, ladies. After binge listening to most of your episodes, this question goes for all three of you, but I am very curious to hear what Martia's response will be.
Ooh, I like this already.
Yes.
Whoa.
I have been with my fiance for 3 years and engaged for 2 years. Side note, we do have a wedding date set, but I am questioning myself on should I get married at all. I am in love with my fiance and our relationship is like a dream come true, but something happened a few weeks ago. A woman contacted him and said she wanted to let him know he has a 4-year-old daughter.
Wait a minute, say that again. So somebody
A woman
contacted
contacted him and
him.
said,
Okay.
yep, him, and said she wanted to let him know he has a 4-year-old daughter by her
Okay.
and she wants him to be active in her life.
Okay.
Instantly, that sent all my red flags flying up. I was feeling some type of way at first, while also thinking this man has a whole child. The other day, he took a DNA test and we are awaiting for the result. My question is, if the results come back, he is the father, do I stay and become a stepmom or walk away from this relationship? Because I heard dealing with co-parenting can be rough on any relationship or marriage, especially if the parents can't agree on how the child should be raised. What would you ladies do? Stick it out and see what happens? Like Martia says, bring me the baby or leave. Also, we don't have any kids together. Do you think that will hurt our marriage moving forward?
I'd like to hear
I like how
Martia.
she said, bring me the baby.
Right.
Martia, what do you
Yeah.
say?
So this is kind of interesting because this is one of those situations where she's saying the baby is 4 years old. She's been with her fiance for 3 years. So it sounds like he had this baby and got the woman pregnant before their relationship started.
Right.
So it's not like he cheated on her. And yes, the road might be tough moving forward, mainly because of how this whole thing started out, right? You come into this child's life at 4 years old. But I would say, since this does not have anything to do with him cheating or stepping out, I would say give it a chance. I definitely would not tell her to leave him because it's not like he held this secret from her. He had no idea.
Right.
So bring me the baby. Like, we're going to try to figure this out, make it work. I wouldn't leave just because of this situation. I mean, you could look even further into it and say they were being irresponsible or what. You can do whatever you want with that. But I think the main point here is that he didn't cheat on her to have this baby. He just found out himself. So I would say try to stick it out. And if you have to change the date for your marriage to kind of see how things are going to go, do that. But I wouldn't say just break it off just yet. But maybe change the date on that wedding and push it out a little bit further just to see how things are going to go. Because it will be an adjustment for sure.
So you don't think it will affect their marriage at all? Because she said they don't have any kids
together. It will be an adjustment for sure. That's why I've said that. Yeah, that's why I said that like 2 or 3 times. But I mean, I just feel like it's not his fault though. That's the only reason why I kind of have the empathy here with him. It's like he didn't know. So
I have a question before Renee jump in with her response. How do you feel when women bring up a baby out of nowhere? Like, you waited 4 years and now you want him to be actively involved in their daughter's life.
Yeah.
So how do y'all feel when women spring that on a man? Do you feel like, hey, if he don't want to take care of it, you can't get upset? Well, not it, the child.
Yeah, you can.
You can. Yeah, he still
you
be
can
responsible
get
for the kid.
But he
because it
didn't
depends.
know.
Because it depends on the circumstances, though.
Okay.
Like if a woman knew and she just decided she didn't want to approach him about it, that's something different. But if she was trying to figure this whole thing out herself these past 4 years. And either situation doesn't excuse him from his responsibility.
Okay.
So yeah, I think it would just really depend. I would need more background on why she waited before I give a comment on how I would feel about it.
That's how I felt too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Renee.
Right.
Would you stick it out, or would you move forward, or leave?
For me, I agree with Martia 100%. Whatever what she said. I mean, because it was before their time.
All right.
Not like he was hiding anything from her. He didn't cheat on her. The part where she said about, how it can be about co-parenting or something like that, that's just putting negative stuff out there. You might meet the mama and she might be cool. So it might not even be an issue. Like you just already putting it negatively in your head. And it could be like, she probably don't want that man no more. And that's why she didn't let him know for these 4 years, so it might not even be because that's when the issue comes, when like the women still want the men or the man still wants the woman. And it's that kind of a conflict. But I would say make the adjustment if he's worth it, if you want to stay with him, but don't feel obligated to stay with him if in your heart and that you don't want kids and don't want to have a man that has kids, and you won't treat this baby as if that's like your stepdaughter.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point.
And and I won't even be mad about that, because if that's not what you wanted, that's not what you signed up for when you met him. If you said that I want somebody with no kids, then that's perfectly fine, and say you have to just bow out and find somebody else who can meet your, whatever your standards are, or whatever you want. So don't feel obligated to have to be somebody's mother when you don't want to either. But you could be missing out on a great man, because he literally didn't do anything wrong.
Exactly.
Y'all are about to get married soon,
and he let you know that this lady came over with this kid. It's not like he's hiding it.
At least he's being honest. He's like, hey, I'm doing a DNA test. Let me just make sure.
Yeah. So if she's his, then then you have a bonus daughter. It might be the best thing in your life that comes along that you didn't know that you needed.
Look at y'all. That's good. I like these responses.
I'm all warm and fuzzy for the holiday spirit.
I see. These are good. I have to agree with y'all.
Yeah, because he didn't even do anything wrong this time. I couldn't even cuss him out or nothing. Like, no.
Imagine not knowing you had a baby and then finding out you had a baby, and at the same time your fiance is thinking about leaving you.
Yeah.
That man world to be crumbling down around him and he ain't even know.
Right. Well, I hope the co-parenting goes well.
Yeah. So what do you think, Demetrius?
I agree with y'all, because at first I was going into it kind of negative as I'm reading. I'm like, girl, don't stay 4 years later. He knew something, but I guess, with him taking a DNA test and at least letting her know the situation, I guess she should,
and even
like
if he might have known, he might not have known for
see.
sure if the girl didn't tell him,
Right.
That kind of goes too. I don't know. Wish them the best. So hopefully they can let us know what the DNA says later. I mean, I really want to know now, because I mean, it could be a whole, like a moot point. That
I wonder how long those take.
It should take a day or two. I thought. I mean, I've never had one done.
Oh, I thought she said that he already had a positive result from the DNA test.
He was taking a test.
Oh, okay.
He's taking it. So I wonder how. And I don't know.
That's even better. Like Renee said, it could be either way. Then, yeah.
Okay.
So write back and let us know if you want to.
Ooh.
If you want to let us know, because I kind of do want to, just to follow up, just to see, if this is your daughter, what's the way forward,
and like what was your final decision? Because to get the test back, maybe she might feel some type of way, like, I don't even have kids with you yet, so why should I have to be mom?
Which is fine. Yeah. Which people will probably look down on her for that. But I mean, if you don't want to be somebody's stepmama, that's perfectly fine. You don't have to. You shouldn't feel obligated to do that just because.
And she said that's her relationship of her dream. Like, don't throw that away.
Yeah.
I had a family member that this happened to, and
really,
almost 20 years later, they're still married, and they she actually the husband had the baby. I think they were actually about to get married, or they had just got married. However it went down, he did have another baby, outside baby, but it was something that happened before, but it happened before they got settled down. It was very similar to this situation. 4 years didn't go by, but it was like new into his marriage when the woman told him he had a kid. So if the kid was like 1 or a few months old or 2, the baby was a little bit younger than 4. But yeah, they stayed together almost 20 years later, and she eventually had a kid with him as well. So my cousin only had 1 kid, and then the kid he had before, those two kids are super close.
I was about to say, it's like water under the bridge now at this point.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It's just, it is what it is. It's life.
Mm-hmm. And it worked out. The kids are grown because they ended up,
they're close.
Yeah, they're close because they ended up being, I think she had her baby like maybe 2 years into their marriage. So the kids were 2, maybe no more than 3 years apart, So yeah, they grew up to be pretty close, and they took them on trips. She was like the epitome of a good stepmom to her.
That's good.
That's fine. Yeah, bonus son, as you said. Mm-hmm. So just giving the person encouragement, it can work out. If this turns out to be his kid, I wouldn't give up on him.
I'm loving all this positivity.
Bring me the baby, girl.
Just like Martia.
We ain't got time to be starting over because of some mess like this.
that gotta be on a shirt. Bring me the baby.
Right.
If someone is writing it in.
He ain't cheat.
Exactly.
Right. At least not that we know of with this one.
Oh Lord.
I'm just saying. I don't know what he's done after that, but I'm just saying for this one, for the conception, at least, he wasn't cheating. So
because technically it was like maybe what if they've been together 3, so like a year prior to their
so
relationship?
that's like so that was like even before he met her,
right?
Was already here.
That girl could have been a one night stand. Who knows? So
yeah. So we all agree, because I agree with my ladies, my co-host. Hey, stick it out, girl. Let's see what happened. And don't forget, like Renee said, let us know an update. I'm curious.
I'm nosy.
She knows.
I do want to know. And I just want to follow up just to see, how it ends. Or not ends, but how it, shakes out, if it is his or not.
Wow.
Yeah. Wishing you guys the best. So.
Right. So, okay, sippers. This concludes this week's Sipping on Wine True Crime Podcast, ladies.
Well, there you go.
Wow, that time went by so
this
fast,
sure
as
always.
Always.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Yeah, I was about to say, this was a good episode.
Thank you. So please make sure, guys, that you share this episode with your friends and follow us on all social media platforms so you can be the first to listen to the new episodes every Tuesday.
Let's
go. Let's do it. We hate to leave,
but we gotta go.
See
you later, sippers. Bye, ladies. Bye, sippers.
Bye, ladies. Bye, sippers.
Bye.